Hello and welcome back to Through Our Eyes, the podcast from Thomas Pocklington Trust Student Voices Group. This episode we're going to be talking all things DSA, Disabled Students Allowance. We're really lucky this episode to have with us Khadija, Faith and Sarah, who'll be talking through their knowledge and experience of DSA. I'll hand over to them.
Hello everyone, it's Khadija again. Hi, it's Faith.
Hi, it's Sarah.
So, as you guys know, I've been thinking about going to university. It's still quite a while away, to be honest, but I came across this thing called DSA. So what is this DSA then?
DSA is short for Disabled Student Allowance, and it's a specialist funding for any type of support someone needs at university as a disabled student.
What kind of things does DSA provide then?
DSA, it comes in lots of different ways. So it can help with support for people who need non-medical help. So that's humans who support students rather than technology. But it can also be useful for getting laptops, technology, different sorts of software. It can be helpful for getting ergonomic stuff. So if you've got a disability that means you might need some extra equipment for your physical needs while you're studying, for example, like a desk or a specialist designed chair, a specialist designed mouse or laptop stand, it can be helpful for that.
Can anyone apply for DSA, or do you have to be disabled?
It's mainly for disabled students who need specialist support.
So it is for anyone who literally needs it. It doesn't really make exceptions or discriminate against different disabilities.
That's right. It can be for anyone who needs a bit more support than an average student. If they need support to equalise the playing field at university because they have some sort of disadvantage, and I say that word in quotes, then you can apply for DSA.
Okay, now that sounds really cool because obviously going to university is a really big change from sixth form or college or apprenticeships. So there's going to be lots of different things that need accommodating. I was wondering, right? So let's say you do that ergonomics thing you were talking about. Do you have to pay that back after you're done university? Is that something student loans, or do you have to pay it back with interest? What's going on here?
No, DSA is not a loan. It's funding and you don't need to pay it back. There is no interest. And it's for anyone who needs it.
Also, if you get given any equipment, for example, a laptop, desk, chair, anything like that, no, you don't have to give that back either.
You know what? This sounds like a dream come true. Is the application process easy?
If you're applying for student finance as well as DSA, you can apply through the same form. So you don't need to apply separately. You only apply to DSA. You have to fill in a separate form, but they are not very long and quite self-explanatory. After our application, we are being sent communications or emails about next steps, and next steps involve things like the DSA assessments and maybe some other steps.
You also have to send in evidence of your condition, so it's not like anyone can go for it. People who have medical evidence of a condition that would qualify for DSA can apply, but in order to apply, you have to have that evidence.
All right, thank you. So about you guys, do you both have DSA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the application process for you?
For me, it was a difficult process because when I first applied to DSA, I wasn't eligible due to my personal circumstances and residency status. So sometimes international students are not eligible for DSA. In the second application, it was more straightforward because I was applying to student finance forms when I was applying for my student finance. Then I had to go through the DSA assessment. That also was not very complicated because you get emails about what you need to be doing, what evidence you need to send, and how the process runs. I think that's really important. You do your research and understand what you are entitled to.
You know, I totally get that thing about being an international student. Of course, it's like a case by case. We all have different stories. But I wanted to ask, the first time that you got rejected, was that difficult? Did that defer your academic progress, or did you have to take a gap year or something like that? Like, what happened when you first got rejected?
So I didn't take a gap year. I talked to all the universities I applied for, all the ones I got offers, and I asked them about my situation. I told them I wasn't eligible and asked them what kind of support they would fund. I think it's important that people check with each university if they're not entitled. It might influence your decision. For me, it was disappointing. It took me longer to arrange my support because I also knew I wouldn't be eligible. I was making plans before that. So I also recommend, because this is case by case basis, if you are not sure about your eligibility or if you have a different situation like being international students, please check with student finance and advisors about your eligibility.
Thank you for sharing that. Faith, what about you? What was your application process like? Any ups and downs? Did you have support? Who helped you? Things like that?
It was a difficult process. I have 2 conditions and I needed 2 sets of medical evidence for DSA, and I only had evidence of my visual impairment. I had to jump through hoops and go through different channels to find evidence of my physical impairment as well. I needed to get DSA applied for as soon as I could. I applied for DSA and I just said that I had a visual impairment. And then when I went for my study needs assessment, they said that they can only give me a certain laptop, which wasn't suitable for me because it was heavy and big. As a part of my physical impairment, I just couldn't deal with that. I ended up having to go through more different channels to get myself a laptop that I needed, a light, compact laptop. I actually bought mine off Amazon and then I got reimbursement from DSA. So mine was a very awkward process and a weird process, but I think the key thing to take away is make sure you get your evidence as early as you can and then apply for DSA as early as you can.
You both went through different application processes and they brought different challenges. In my opinion, that can be a little bit scary. Would you say that now that you've been through it, it was worth it and you feel like the struggle and the effort that you put into the process, has that paid off?
Yes. Absolutely, I do. I think I would have really struggled if I didn't have my DSA. I would have struggled throughout my university career. I can't say it's been easy, but it has been better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Once you get the support you need and you start thriving at university, you realize that it's definitely worth it.
That does make me feel a little bit better for when I finally applied for DSA. I was kind of curious. Who came up with this DSA thing? Has it always been around since the beginning of the times, like were dinosaurs applying for DSA too?
Not actually 100% sure on that one, I'm afraid.
I don't know either.
Well, I can help you guys a little bit with some story time because I'm almost as old as the dinosaurs. Disabled Students Allowance was originated in 1974 to support disabled students in higher education with additional study-related costs. A person called Lord Snowdon was really instrumental in promoting the importance of giving support to disabled students to access their university and higher education. He was a real important person as part of that, and there's now the Snowdon Trust that was set up that can also provide additional funding for people with disabilities as well, if that's something that you want to explore. But since then, as governments have come and gone and things have changed, like so much more technology nowadays, things have been changed and improved, and there's a bit more expectation on universities to help with reasonable adjustments. So it's not completely the same as what it was in 1974. That's how old it is.
Thanks for that, guys. I really enjoyed listening to your guys' stories with DSA. They were scary at times, but I think that the way that you guys find that DSA has helped, that does give me hope, and I'm sure it will give other visually impaired students applying for university hope as well.
Thank you. It was great to hear from Faith, Khadija and Zara. If you're interested in hearing more about DSA, then the next episode will talk you through kind of the step-by-step process, and we'll have our first special guest to Through Our Eyes, some of our amazing education advisors from the Thomas Pocklington Trust education team.